topic that is very important, these pterodactyl beings that have 2,000 years.
Excellent connection. It seems to be.
Yes, so here the calling to our dear Peruvian brothers and the public and the citizenship of this great nation to insist so that this is handled with seriousness, so that it is researched at an official level, and at any moment we will link in vivo to Peru. We're going to see a little note of our. We're going to comment some images so that we can talk about what we're going to see, what is going to be discussed today in the Congress of Peru. This reality of the tactile beings of NASCAR. Guillermo Lopez already about this research that started in 2017. Here is Dr. Salce analyzing the X-rays and the implants, because that's another mystery that is very important. We can see a metallic object. Some of them have been analyzed, and we are very surprised. The mental experts that have studied them are very surprised. This is 2,000 years old, and the alloys. Oh, the video is already there. The way in which they are put into the body, these plates, in the bodies of these beings, biologically speaking, is very complicated to understand. This is something. These are some waterways that are very important archaeologically. We do not know if it's the only one or if it's some of the diatomy mines where the bodies were found. They are microscopic organisms that are fossilized, with which these bodies were covered because it have desiccating properties, so that putrefaction is not possible, and it avoids insects from approaching the bodies to eat it. And they didn't know. Well, who know this 2,000 years ago? And the extraordinary is that, at least that I know, even though they're not actually mummies, but because they are desiccated bodies, they are the only mummies that have been found that are preserved in this way, because the other ones, the inner organs are put out so that you can conserve them. And just because of this, this is a very unique way, because of the way the bodies were preserved. Very different from the Egyptian mummies or the very proper Peruvian mummies. They are different. These ones have 3 fingers. This is, imagine that that you just see a being in the night with 3 fingers, 3 centimeters of just the fingers. They are giant. Imagine, they should have been very big. This is what caused a lot of questions in the beginning. What is this? Why 3 fingers? Are they not manufactured? Well, we are back receiving images from Peru. They are still just, they're still arriving, getting there. This is going to get some time, so we're still going to be commenting. But these are the images right straight from Peru. We have to mention that according to the program for today, members are going to be present from the Minister of Culture from Peru. And I think this is something very important, a cornerstone. a point where they are opening their mind so that they can do their job, in the sense that they have to be open to research these bodies, of course, and they have to think about all of this. They have to see that this is
a benefit of Peru itself. This is an extraordinary finding, so that it could be turned into like Egypt, so that like in Egypt they see the museums and the pyramids. This could be that for Peru. And the chapter that has been written in history, because we're talking about a topic that doesn't have an explanation as of right now. Because I think that it's already been demonstrated that this is real. They were not manufactured. These were biological beings that sometime walked in the earth. But who made them? It's not natural. Somebody created them. Who is behind all of that? This is the complicated thing. It's a big leap for science or everything that we know, and the scientists avoid this because not everyone, because there have been scientists that have seen this and said that this is real, but we need more research. Because of this is that the public hearing is being held. The universities, for example, in the United States, the top scientists in the world, they cannot just research them because they want to. They need the permission of the government, and that's why this has to be made official. This discovery, the government needs to recognize it as such. This is our patrimony. We want to get to the bottom of this. Something very basic in all of this is that we are starting from something that is real. There is nothing about that. These are not dolls. This was something that was alive 2,000 years ago and was created by somebody. How did they interact with the ancient people of Nazca and Peru? How did they relate with the cultures, the knowledge, and all the structures that were there, the structures that were created in the desert? Did they have any kind of relationship, anybody, these beings, or the beings that created these beings? Okay, we are now in the Congress of Peru. Can you put some audio here so that the people can hear?
Hey, good morning. How's it going, everyone? This is Aslan. Just
So we're going to
giving a
start the
thanks
hearing now,
for joining the stream for UAP files.
so that you can understand what is happening. We have the participation of different persons and deputies. Sí, sí, lo escucho, pero no se entiende nada. No se entiende nada que le digo. Ok, está bien. I cannot make exactly the names that he is mentioning, but he is basically just listing off the attendees of the Congress. A representative from a university, uh, Mr. Jaime Maussan. I ask of you, please, that you accompany us, the people that are watching us. Could you present yourself for the people that are watching us? Thanks a lot. Um, Thanks a lot, important attendees of this Congress. I want to thank everyone for being here present in this public hearing. We're going to start shortly. For a lot of people, this is very important. And I want to show my respect for everyone here. You're all very distinguished people. And we also have to have this topic of citizenship, security. There are people that we have to establish as priority. Please turn up the volume because the volume is very low. Some of them have different points of view. Some of you have different points of view. But our principal objective, our main objective, is to discuss the information that we have and to make it known. People that have studied this, people that are effective, and people that say that we need further research so that we can open the doors to further research. And starting from that, we can discuss this very important topic in Peru, that Peru invests basically nothing for research. The universities are the places where the research should be generated, and there is where it does not happen. I know this is very important, so please to take account these obligations to the people and to listen, because we have a lot of points of views, but in all the ways, in all the paths, we need to arrive into a truth that may not be absolute, but is truth, through research. And this is a point in which we have to take this into account. I repeat, there are versions from one point, from another, but as a congressman, I had the first information, which is very important. Based on the public hearing in Mexico, I observed how this topic was exposed from a scientific way, what the research, where the research was going to, from antiquities that were found in Nazca being analyzed in another country. Why us as Peruvians could not open the doors so that this could be researched here as well? It's all about research, opening the doors for enabling that to happen. Which has been happening, very few of it as of late here in Peru. So I have considered that at this moment the Commission of Culture have been obstacle once and once again, and that truthfully the last meeting that we had, we were able to establish a meeting in which we could hear this topic from a scientific point of view. And all of you are here to do that. But what I understand from all this is and the zone, the North Zone, is adapted with. I've got overlapping audio. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Americana, que también se ha priorizado y el Congreso ha tenido a bien de aprobar los proyectos de ley que he presentado para celebrar, por ejemplo, de una manera también deportiva los bolivarianos Ayacucho 2024, que está en plena ejecución. Pero la zona sur, que es Lucanas, Paucar del Sarazara, Parinacochas, Sucre, tienen lugares turísticos también que visitar y que poner en valor. Y entonces, si podemos hacer que estos seres pudieran tener un lugar donde exhibirlos, un museo, entonces haríamos un corredor turístico que visite Ica, Nazca, las líneas de Nazca, los seres que pudiéramos decir que se exhiban y que se pongan a los ojos del mundo.
And this is the goal that we have here to establish a jurisdiction precedent. And it is there where the Culture Commission also, with our president, has also delivered this topic as an important path to follow, something important. Furthermore, Mr. President, I congratulate your president and the commission and every congressman that approved this public hearing, that we assume that they are granting the opportunity for the community of Ica that has the beings, so that a museum space of sorts can be generated that could generate income to provide for these communities, which is good. This is very important. And starting from this point, it's going to be generated, the next information that we hear. Thanks a lot, Mr. President, Congressman. Now we proceed with Mr. Campos, representative of the University of Ica. I now give you the word to speak. Good morning, Mr. President, congressmen and representatives of the government. I come as a representative of the University San Luis Gonzaga forward to present a very controverted topic. the assistants, scientists, researchers, public in general, for this public hearing that is going to be important to generate the possibility to analyze these bodies in the establishments of the ICA University. And they have a lot of resources to establish another instrument of knowledge. People, the University of Ica finds inside of the normativity that there is one law of university, which to us, it makes us that we establish research. But with a budget which is 0.05% of what we need, we have to pay for all of that by ourselves, which is a very important problem that we're dealing with. Because of that, I also come to express my discomfort with the situation. In the name of the whole university, allow me to express that the position of the university before this very controverted situation is to find the truth. To us, that it is our goal to find the truth. We need to establish this in a different way, but always following the guidelines that our university follows. But we also have to make laws, Mr. Congressman, so that this can be a tool, but fundamentally for scientific research. And now we don't have any signal.
Pequeña dificultad técnica, Guillermo, pero bueno, las palabras del senador Takuri, pues me llenan de esperanza, porque él está impulsando esta audiencia para que sean reconocidas los cuerpos fidáctidos y para que se conviertan en un punto de atracción para el público en general, para el mundo científico, y acudan a Perú.
Sí, me parece algo muy positivo. Es algo que es realmente indispensable, si no, no se va a poder avanzar. Realmente el descubrimiento se puede perder. O sea, se sabe que algunos de estos cuerpos pues andan por ahí regados y pues, de manera pues, que no se sabe bien, o sea, se tiene que...
By law, the universities like the University of Ica took the risk against the critics and against everything, and they said, we want to know the truth, we want to get to the bottom of this. And I think that all the scientists should be like that. If it's something fake, it's going to be found out. What's the problem? The scientists should be neutral. They cannot say, we're going to see. They have to say, we have to see what proof exists to determine that, firstly, this is real. Second, what are we analyzing? Where does it come from? What is it? We have found that this is very ancient and is very complex, and what strikes my curiosity is the complexity of the whole finding. And what is very important is, just as Mosen has said during more than 3 decades, is that the topic, like these kind of topics, are now being openly and in points, like from a very official point of view, in surroundings that are more serious in nature, which is also very important. And this is elevating all this kind of, the level of discussion is being held in higher levels. And what I was mentioning before, precisely for this to be, for a museum to be built for the benefit of the people of Ica and Peru in general, this has to be recognized scientifically, which is what the experts, some of the experts that are there present in this table are going to discuss, and that are going to expose the reality of the scientific fundaments that are backing up this discovery. It's a lot of stuff that has been researched, because there are a lot of bodies. This is such a great discovery. I do not understand why there's such resistance for this discovery, because it literally changes everything. Different humanoid species that interacted with ancient Peruvians, or that we think they did. We don't really know. Maybe they just found them and they just kept them. But now we are back to the Congress. Oh, it's a recess. They are in a recess. Apparently there's a little recess in the Congress. They comment us that apparently there is a recess in this session. Apparently there are some administrative issues that they are going to try and solve in this moment, but now we are here in the transmission. We greet every single person that is watching us here in the world, because they're very interested. And I think that with these hearings and these transmissions that are being held surrounding these bodies, I have noticed that a lot of people that were skeptic finally are starting to recognize that this is actually something extraordinary. And yes, they say that an image is worth 1,000 words. And when you see the X-rays, the tomographies, even an artist that does this kind of thing in 3D animations or sculptures, they can say this is very complex. When you see anything, maybe even a microbe or a bug from very close up, you can tell it's very complex, but this is extraordinarily complex. So it's extremely complex, and the same thing that they say about like that the doctors say about anatomy. For example, the anatomy of the finger, that is very complex and has a lot of variants that have to come together in a very specific way so that it could work. They are in the room right there, but nothing is happening. So we're just going to show the image, but we're still here. We are watching live images from the historic session in the Congress of Peru, where a lot of experts are attending, and international personalities that are coming here. It is very important to highlight that if these bodies and this research was fake, Guillermo Carlos Clemente, I think that this is, if this was fake, the least thing they would try and do is to research it. If you make a fraud, the least thing that you want them to do is to research it, because they're going to discover you. And in some journalists there in Peru, they say that a lot of scientists and a lot of members of the scientist community of Peru, they were upset because of this hearing, because they need to, because they say that they have to research all of this scientifically first before escalating the situation. This is exactly what they are what they're trying to do. 7 years ago, when they delivered the news of this discovery, 1 or 2 years had already passed and nothing was happening. It's because of Jaime Maussan that this topic has really caught some relevancy, because in other moments of history other histories, maybe at some other point of history, discoveries like this had been held, but they have been lost because not enough because not enough attention had been put into it. So now we need to avoid that of happening again. And this is what we're looking for research, so that we can get to the bottom of this case. What we are promoting is a call for the whole community, international community of scientists, and specifically those who are being presented as skeptical, because that's what we actually need, so that when they can have this research in their hands, they can realize the importance of this discovery, because at this time, at least 50 scientists of different nationalities and specialties have come here. They have done their research and are surprised, and especially those who have seen them physically, because it is very impressive. I want to comment something that is very important. You have told us this already, but somehow the research team that we are, specifically Mr. Jaime Maussan, our chief, is who has pushed very importantly this topic. I'm not going to mention everything that we have had to go through to get to this point, but we've always been in the search of truth, and if there is somebody in this planet that knows about this, is firstly obviously Mr. Maussan, and we who we are in this table right now. This is the point, because sometimes because we always know what we are saying. We have the knowledge of the reports that we receive. I've always been impacted when we begin to write the articles from the radiographies, the studies from scientists. We have held them with our own hands, and this information, it needs to be kept very importantly. We cannot publish exactly everything from A to Z, everything, because it's also very technical and complex. But we have, for example, Dr. Salce, who has analyzed the bodies. He has been in Peru a lot of times. And we have had the great opportunity to have here live 2 of the bodies. And if this is not having the knowledge of all of this, then I really don't know what it is. I really don't know who could have it. Just to ponder all the doubts that maybe you could have, but I have received comments that, well, maybe how do you know? Maybe it's because, I think it's because of all the team and all the scientists and us as a research team. Jaime Maussan is the cornerstone of all of this. He has opened the bridge. Apparently they're going to speak now. We are getting back. At any moment, we're going to get back to the Congress. There they are. I am not receiving audio from the source. We are not receiving audio from the source. There it is. He is presenting the members of the... No, it's being repeated, apparently. The transmission is being repeated. Well, everything is going to go well, probably. You just presented Jaime Maussan. This is effectively a repetition of what happened earlier.
Well, there's little technical issues. We will return in a moment to the Congress, but it's very important to mention that one of
Guillermo,
the
Carlos
goals of
Clemente,
this
amigos del
hearing,
auditorio, y precisamente aquellos que
and
se
precisely
están
those
mostrando
who
muy
are
escépticos,
very skeptical,
tenemos un pequeño regreso
we have a little issue here with the audio. Oh, there we go.
Uno de los grandes objetivos
One
de
of
esta
the
audiencia
biggest goals
es
in
que
this
se
hearing
oficialice
is
la
to
investigación.
make this
Que el
research
gobierno de
official
Perú
so that the
finalmente diga,
government of
"Esto
Peru
se tiene que
finally says
investigar",
this
no que
has
lo
to be
avalen desde un
researched.
No, porque pues, eso
Because
es una conclusión al final, pero
th-
se tiene que permitir
but this
oficialmente.
has to
Exacto.
be
Se tiene
allowed
que
officially.
permitir
This has to
a
be
nivel oficial
allowed
porque
to an
estos
official
cuerpos
level
les
because these
pertenecen a
bodies
ustedes, amigos del Perú.
belong to
Bueno,
you,
una
friends of
vez
Peru.
que se oficialice,
And
se permita la salida de los
as
cuerpos
soon
para
as
que
this
los
is
mejores
official,
laboratorios de
to
universidades
allow
europeas
the travel of these bodies so that they
sean
can be
realizados
analyzed in
estudios
the best
más
laboratories
precisos que permitan llegar.
in Europe and United
He
States
ahí
so
la
that we can get to the
importancia de esta
truth.
audiencia, Guillermo.
That's why this hearing is so important.
Estableció John
This is what
McDowell,
has
uno
been
de los
established by
principales
McDowell,
forenses de Estados Unidos,
one
los
of the
más
most
reconocidos,
important forensic
academia de
scientists
ciencias
in the
forenses de
United
los Estados
States.
Unidos, o sea, no es
That
cualquiera.
this is what he said.
Dijo,
He
esto se tiene
said
que dar por la vía legal.
this needs to
Ahora sí
be
que yo no voy a
established
meter las
from a
manos
legal point of
hasta
view.
que sea todo
And I'm not going to do anything
correctamente,
until all of this is being done
porque
correctly,
si no
because if
tienen
not,
problema.
then they're going to be held responsible for problems as well. Now, we're going to check if the signal is being held from there. We are going to check the signal if it's the correct one now. They have to comprehend this is happening live. So there's a great effort that is happening so that we can retransmit live from kilometers of distance. We sent our own equipment all the way to Peru. This is not a small thing. So believe me, and we are here in the studio precisely to continue and to share with you this information. There's a lot of images. We can show you some of the images that we have here of this great discovery, because I think that, well, in any moment we will link to Peru, but just be patient, because at any moment they're going to say, just go, Peru's here. And literally at the light of speed they're going to send us here, but we are still here with you, live, sharing with you all of this. Okay, we're going to check if this is already working. It's the same that was happening before. It's the beginning again. It's just the beginning. Return here to the studio, please. Cut back to the studio. That already happened. Just go. Well, here we are back. The images are going to be adjusted shortly, but as we say here in in the television, these are issues from the origin. But we are here. We're still going to be commenting. Carlos Clemente, John McDowell, one of the most important forensic scientists. Very few people know that he was the one of the main. Okay, oh, there we go. John McDowell, that's the guy. We do not have audio. The exams made by our team of forensic scientists, they were extremely limited, and we do not have signal again. They tried to do procedures that weren't invasive or destructive, trials that were destructive, and we don't have signal anymore. Again. And the signal ended. So cut back to the table.
Seguimos teniendo dificultades técnicas, pero comentamos. Claro, veíamos, pero sí, qué curioso, hablábamos de John McDowell, mi estimado Guillermo, y estaba en pantalla. Este hombre, decía yo, puede...
is one of the key people who helped recognize the victims of 9/11 who were irrecognizable, and thanks to his work, they were able to recognize them and deliver them to their families. This is a labor that North Americans really thank a lot because he was key in the identification of the victims of 9/11. An extraordinary work at a forensic level, and he has a great reputation because of that. Now,
investigar, de llevar los cuerpos a Estados Unidos prestados para realizar investigaciones.
Research them in United States to make further research. And we are back, apparently. Go forth, please, to Peru. Or maybe just warn us. We'll keep there. So just McDowell, you can see him there. Let's see if we can hear him now. No. It's being loaded. We have images. We have images, but not audio.
Usando los procedimientos de imágenes de la más alta calidad para evaluar las estructuras anatómicas internas. Cualquier otra técnica considerada apropiada por los científicos peruanos podría ser realizada en cooperación con científicos peruanos y estadounidenses. En un estudio, si se permitiese un estudio colaborativo que progrese, inclusive con estos procedimientos mínimamente invasivos, siempre tendría que ser con la supervisión y concentración.
We still do not have audio.
En todas las etapas de la investigación se debería tomar un gran cuidado para respetar la cultura, las tradiciones y las leyes.
From the knowledge of this Peruvian scientist. No. I'm not receiving audio. Oh, we have now audio. This artifacts from this origin.
Ofrezco mis servicios profesionales.
And we don't have signal anymore.
Ministerio de Cultura y los científicos peruanos y otros expertos para examinar. Examinar forensicamente. Studies to date. Please be assured that my continued participation would be neutral, impartial, independent, and consistent with all phases of the scientific method. Es importante resaltar que no estoy empleado por cualquier persona u organización para estudiar estos especímenes. Adicionalmente, no he recibido pago alguno por mi tiempo en estos estudios. Por favor, estén seguros que mi continua participación sería neutral, imparcial e independiente y consistente con todas las fases del método científico.
Bueno, ahorita no está, pero el problema principal que tengo es que se escucha lo del foro al mismo tiempo que acá. Entonces encima mucho y tengo problemas con eso. Sí, gracias. We don't have signal anymore. Again.
Basado en lo que he delineado en esta breve declaración, pido la autorización
based on what I have done with this brief declare, the authorization of the government of Peru and the Ministry of Culture to expand our initial evaluation. I hope that this is an opportunity to work along Peruvian scientists for this meeting.
Estoy dispuesto a reunirme y conversar en gran detalle cualquier preocupación, cualquier tema sobre los métodos de investigación y práctica con las autoridades relevantes apenas se pueda hacer.
He's now translating the man.
Gracias por esta oportunidad de dirigirme a los miembros del Parlamento el día de hoy.
Thanks for this opportunity to address the members of the Congress today. I hope that this conversation goes to a productive result. Don't doubt in contacting me if you have any question or need any information.
Muchas gracias por darme unos cuantos minutos extra. Lo aprecio realmente porque esto es un tema realmente importante.
Thanks for giving me a little bit more minutes. I appreciate it because this is a very important topic. Very good. Thanks a lot, Dr. John McDowell, for your exposition. And it's going to be very useful for us, really. Apart from that, we're going to give the word to Ernesto Humberto Ábalos Convero from the Institute of Medicine from the Public Ministry of Peru. He studied chemistry. He is in charge of the area of research and development and toxicological control. He also was in charge of an area of pharmacology in the institute. In consequence, we are now going to give the word to him, to our friend. Welcome. You have now the word. You can now speak. Well, now with everyone here, firstly, I want to clarify some terms and some points from the table. Firstly, there are a lot of procedures that has been done in these desiccated bodies. They have done X-rays, tomographies, etc. Right? The X-rays is a kind of energy that responds to the electromagnetic spectrum. It has different levels of energy: alpha, beta, gamma, X-rays, ultraviolet, microwaves, radio frequencies, and each one of them has a different level of energy, and this kind of energy interacts with the matter, and the matter has it reacts to this reaction, a very specific reaction. Now, subjectively, because of acquired, with something that is red, because of the knowledge that we have, we say it's red. But objectively, if it's red, it has to be analyzed to a photometric analysis so that we can actually determine it's red. Not just because we see it's red, we need to prove it's red. That's the objective way to demonstrate that it's red. Now, X-rays, what they do is the analysis of these bodies. These tomographies is a kind of X-rays, but they make a lot of cuts through this body, and we can see some images depending of the density, and we can observe a form. So imagine if I had this bottle. They are not going to give me it's going to give me the shape of the bottle, but that's it. So we're going to see the form of the heart. We can see the shape of the organs, and we can see if there is any damage to any tissue, to an artery, to a vein, any kind of malformation. So that's for the living tissue, but for a desiccated body, what we can only see is the bones, the skin, or what is desiccated. We cannot see that. We cannot see if there was a blood vessel, if there is a brain, if there is a bladder, because it's a desiccated body. Now, when we see the X-rays, and it gives me the image of a bottle. So here you can observe that yes, it's a bottle because of the shape. But what is going to tell me if it's actually a bottle? Even further, it's a molecular analysis. Yes, because it's a plastic. There's high density plastics and low density plastics, for example. From low density, we can see they are transparent, and the molecular structure of this plastic and what defines it as plastic, it exists a very specific kind of analysis that analyzes this matter in a way that it emits a signal of its chemical structure. The plastic is a polymer of consecutive chains of molecules that are unified with different links, with double links, and it sends a signal, or there is a response to the action of the energy, and that is how that we can know that this polymer of a lot of carbons, and therefore we can say that it is a plastic, and even more if it's a plastic of high or low of high or low density. And this molecular analysis tells me that it is effectively a plastic objectively. But if it was an X-ray, we can only see that we can only see the shape, but we cannot tell it's actually plastic. We can only see the shape, and that cannot be defined by an X-ray. So, in base of this, the bone tissues, they are actually bones, probably, and they're probably very ancient because of the carbon-14 trials. But we need to see the composition of these bodies, the tissues that form superficially these bodies. These were the first bodies, desiccated bodies that I got my hands on in 2017. So the first one. Look what they say, right? The infrared spectrum of the surface of the composition of the skin. It says here rubber, and it also says polymers of cellulose. So it's a vegetal polymer, for example. So this supposedly skin, when, for example, kids that they use paper and all this stuff to make some masks for a school assignment, this is basically what is there. This is one of the individuals that was being analyzed. The next was the skull. Apparently, the skin was peptin, which is also a vegetal fiber. And it's the second image. The third image, there's a fragment that was taken from different parts of the body, and it says nucleolatus. That is a plastic glue as well. So imagine that is the composition of of the surface. I'm not talking about the bones. This is the molecular analysis, what it's going to identify. We are taking this from molecules and atoms. The molecules is the structures of atoms that form amino acids, proteins that are the base of the tissues, right? Parafilo. Parafilo is a plastic that is used to cover the assay tubes, and this was designed, these compounds. Next, we have a hand. Yes. This one was sent this year. This is a body that was analyzed by these tests. If you see there, like this supposedly skin, and you can see that the results are polypropylene. And you can go forward to the next image, please. We can also see more glue comes up in the results. The next one. What happens here is that the infrared spectrum compares what it has in the library, which is like a dictionary of a lot of pages, that, for example, the answer of this is already recorded here. The answer of this response is already stored here, and the answer that is being presented, the results that are being presented, are compared with this library, and that's why, if you can see this and see what is probably, if it has a high level of coincidence, it's probably it. To the next one, please. There you can also see rubber. The next one, something that caught my attention, cellulose, cotton, and in the next image, the next one, you can see where it says fraction 7 between the joints in this finger, there is a piece of cotton. That is what forming that structure. And look at there, you can clearly see, and in the infrared spectrum analysis tells me that it's cotton, and cotton is, well, cotton. It's a cotton fiber, right? So subjectively, I can see it, and you can see, yes, that is a fiber, and the spectrum that is objectively telling me is that, yes, that's a cotton, because the infrared spectrum analysis tells me that it's cotton. It's an objective way of telling if it's cotton. The next one, for example, as you can see, it is vinyl, so polymers. These were mixes of different things. You can see more plastics and cotton. The next one, it also indicates us that it's more glue, that it has been adhered to the bone. You can also see an image there. What I just said was about the hand. These are the bodies, right, that were received by our institute, and the same. These are two parts, and we analyzed what it appears to be a skin, and it's the same, right? To the next one, please. You can see that this is constant with all the desiccated bodies, like, for example, calcium phosphate. It's a chemical component, principally made by oxides, that they use when a crime is committed, so the bodies are being covered, and so that when it decays, it doesn't smell as bad. They add these chemicals to avoid that, and it dries faster so that it doesn't smell as much. So this is a way to desiccate them and maintain them in case of this. So this has been adhered with this component. The next one, you can also observe below, this is also a cotton, this is a fiber, and the results say cotton. This is, the results are also plastics, polymers, and so, like the other ones. What we can also observe in the spectrum, it also says rubber, right? Rubber and also polyester. So this skin has been adhered with glue and rubber to the surface of the bones. We can also observe the same resin, it says, right? Glue. In the next one, it also the results are also rubber and glue. And in the next one, another one, there. This is the skull, the side part of it, right? It had been adhered with glue because we can observe internally that we found that it was that it had glue. And in the next one, please. It had some adherences of metallic appearance, and what was made was to take off what was adhered between that fraction of the body, right? That adherence was analyzed, and it was rubber. It was adhered with rubber. And lastly, this is the last one, and a lot have speaked and have found, and they have commented that one of the bodies had some eggs, maybe, some supposedly eggs. This is in the image. I have taken that egg, and look what they are. It's calcium carbonate. All of it is calcium carbonate. Is calcium carbonate. That's what the test shows. Now, there can't be an image of higher density than the bones, because it cannot be that this structure has more density than the bones, because it comes from it to form what could be the eggshell of an egg, but everything is formed from calcium carbonate, right? So this is everything that we can see in the infrared analysis of the surface of these bone tissues, and what they said that apparently was an egg. So there can't be anything that is fossilized and another one that is desiccated. They are different things. It cannot be. So that the things they are ancient. That does not. It is not my place to say if it is or not. But we can say that everything has been adhered to the tissues. It has been repeated. This has been a repeated behavior from the tests that we have held from 2017 to 2024. The tests have been the same: rubber, glue, and polymers. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Humberto Álvarez. We continue, and José de Jesús Salce Benítez, who is a plastic surgeon in Mexico, chief of the sector of the Navy Surgical Department. Welcome. Mr. Salce, you can have the word. Thanks a lot. Good morning, Congressmen of Peru and representatives of the citizenship. With your permission, I am here before you voluntarily and personally. I also omitted the welcome of the congressman next to me. That said, you can continue now. Thanks. With your permission, I am here voluntarily and personally, integrally and neutrally, with respect and humility, to expose again the studies, the analysis, and the results of the investigation that for more than 7 years have been held with the stratotrial bodies, perfectly preserved by the process of desiccation and dehydration from the dirt of diatomy that covers them, that avoided their putrefaction and enabled their discovery in Peru. Here we need to say that they are desiccated bodies, not desiccated, not dissected, desiccated, not dissected. So to be able to, so we need to make the analysis and the tests that are considered like the target of study, not over some that are distinct or different from the original site that has been marketed in a way that causes disinformation in the population. The studies that I make now are in base of different techniques of common sense in forensic sciences and cutting-edge technologies like equipment of X-ray, tomographies of 64 to 128 cuts that allowed us to have images of 3D reconstructions and great zooms to millimetric levels to the interior of these bodies. We also made use of fluoroscopy equipments that enabled us to see the harmony and continuity of the bone structures of all of these beings. We also made histological studies of tissues and massive sequenciation of DNA and the interpretation that throw results that exceed the what we know of biology and nature specific for this new species before that were unknown before. We were also able to have the implants that were in their skin or inside of them that didn't have any kind of inflammation or anything like that in their bodies. So they did analysis in spectrophotochrometry that through results, in the results it threw us that it was high density metals like osmium and also silver at 95% of purity. We also made carbon-14 tests to guarantee the age of all of these bodies, and through all of these tests, we are now here today. As you can see, they are bodies that have a very harmonious bone structure with joints that, because of their functionality, we can prove that at some point they had life and movement, just as we can see the existence of different organs and that enabled the metabolic functionality of this species. I also had the opportunity to analyze more than 10 bodies that were small, that in average they were 60 centimeters of height, and they had interesting things that made them unique, like their elongated skull that had a large capacity of cerebral matter and that has some that is very different to a lot of compared species, and it enabled their probable elongation to facilitate their movement, just as a different species of turtles. In the thorax, we can see that the ribs are continuous from extreme to extreme in their point of union in every vertebrae, and they are completely horizontal. In their abdomen, we can see structures, ovoidal structures or eggs from different, so that different shapes and sizes, so that we can say she was pregnant. And we could also see embryonary structures, so that we could also make of it that they were living things. The most clear evidence is from their extremities that were formed by long bones in their interior. They are hollow, but they are divided by different tissues that make them light. We do not have audio anymore. We are not receiving audio. Sí. Luego, luego. Gracias. Still no audio. Still no audio.
Realizan investigaciones científicas de alto nivel con equipos de última generación.
With equipment of cutting-edge equipment, the results are surprising. I mean, this is the scientific fundament surrounding the pterodactyl beings of Nazca. So, to try to say they are fake, they would have to make studies at the same level. So here we can see the famous hands of 45 centimeters, 30 centimeters, just from the fingers. And they have more bones than human hands. We are seeing the famous body of Maria. We can see the bones, the teeth. These images are extraordinary. As it was mentioned, these tomographies were done three-dimensionally. They are cutting-edge equipment, and we can see very clearly, without being experts, that they are organic bodies. They are beings that were once alive, which we think they walked in the earth in Ica and Palpa some 1700 years ago. For example, here we can see the digits of Maria, which are different from all of those that we know here in the earth, which are in spiral, and these beings have them horizontally, which are more similar to the reptile digits. Here we can see Santiago, which is another one of the pterodactyl beings. Dr. Salce, well, he commented me that for him, this is an infant, a child, because he has still the temporary teeth, and most probably he is a child, and because of the separation in the bones of the skull, because when we grow up, it's like those are welded together, but when one is very young, there is a separation between the bones of the skull. And now that you mention it, that you mentioned the teeth, Guillermo, I also remembered the studios, the research that was made in ICA when the specialists in the area of odontology, they discovered that in the body of Maria, surprisingly, odontological work was made. So there were dentists almost 2,000 years ago. And this is surprising. The plates is also surprising, these metallic objects. And you can see immediately that they are real beings. How can you manufacture something like this without leaving a footprint behind? The specialists that have analyzed all of this, they say, like if I grabbed bones of other bodies and I tried to put them together, scars would be left behind and they would fall off eventually. I think we already have audio again. We go back to the Congress. Well, we are still seeing these bodies while Dr. Salce is speaking. Well, all of this is being recorded. All of this you will be able to listen to this at a later date. We still have no audio. Audio will come shortly. Signed by Luis Eduardo Carlos Molina from the Culture Ministry of Biology. In the same manner, the last report of image signaled with 13 of September of 2024, these bodies did not present any fracture or alterations of manufacture or mutilation artificially made, declaring them like natural. And I conclude the following. Firstly, we are in the presence of at least four different species of pterodactyl beings that should be incorporated in the taxonomy of the species, or at least be recognized as a parallel evolution of the one that is recognized today. It is important, its official recognition, so that we can research further in the international scientific community in an objective manner, and not use the ignorance and disinformation. Third, it is important to guarantee the conservation and preservation through different methodologies and investigations that are coherent to the present case and relevancy of these beings. Finally, I want to thank all of the people that have added their knowledge constructively. It has been a long way, with the participation of more than 50 scientists of different nations that have pushed aside their ego and have risked their professional prestige to research directly and personally, like it should be, and not from a distance, for what could be one of the most important findings of the history and evolution of mankind. I put myself we have no signal again. I'm not receiving audio.
Hay mucha oposición, como ustedes lo vieron, hay personas que no quieren reconocer, pero eso no importa porque uno tiene que llegar al fondo.
Because one has to get to the bottom of all of this case. You cannot just scratch the surface. And one of the most important things is that Dr. Salce said is that they are different species. It's not just one, it's at least 5. or it appears to be. So a new field is being opened. I hope, well, this hearing is just beginning in Peru, but I think that the time has come for this to be acknowledged officially, not for them to recognize that they are extraterrestrial. We do not know that. It's possible, but we do not know. But without a doubt, they are from an unknown source and origin, and we need to establish with all the scientific basis that point to the truthfulness of these bodies, and we need the government to give the authorization for these bodies to be researched, like we heard that from John McDowell. Now we are about to go back, and at the exposition of for the first time this year with the Minister of Culture has started the tomographic evaluation and decided with us what we already did 7 years ago. So this is going to be good. Following. It's always good to be in the scene, and I mean with the bodies. I was there from the scene in 2001 when I was being formed as a forensic medic, and I have there 25 years less than today. Now, here I am. Here I am with journalist Joyce, going through all the work plan after analyzing the bodies and that I'm going to analyze there. Why? Because when he's going to present me information, they already had 5 years of research. And that's how you work, with complete information, not biased. And there was a lot of research with a lot of reports, like from Russian people, from Americans, from a lot of people. There wasn't a single bias. And Professor Corco, he published a book. Back then, 7 years ago, the book was in $800. It's now $10, but the experience he had with these bodies back then is not the one that we have now. Next. I cannot go forward. The one? So please, I will run out of time if you do not pass the slides, but when I saw the bodies, please turn on the audio. I don't know why it doesn't have audio, but I was in a TV program. This was after the first hearing of Mexico. They presented the bodies, I saw the tomographies, I participated virtually, I saw the tomographies. I've seen x-rays for 30 years, and in the TV program they asked me if the bodies that I'm seeing at that moment are authentic or not, based on that image, and I said, yes. Next. Next, because we lose time. Dr. Zúñiga, who is unfortunately not here because of health issues, invited me. I said that we are in the scene of the research in the terrain. Next. Mummies does not have a radiography that we can observe, and if tomorrow are presented, well, then I eat a cockroach live and alive. That was the take that was that impressed me the most. Firstly, she didn't present herself the next day, where the radiography was presented, and I, as a Peruvian, I was embarrassed by what she said. What do you mean by eating a live cockroach with mayonnaise? It wasn't necessary. It was a serious. It was a serious interview, and well, she didn't, and I'm going to ask her to do it. She didn't eat it, but
I want to show that she was very closed off. She didn't want to open herself to more possibilities, and she said all of this without seeing the bodies. She didn't. She said it without going to the University of Ica, without seeing more stuff. She just said that because of the position she had. This is how we are. This is the condition of the scientists of the nation. The man to my right, which couldn't come here today, he is from France. He is the director of INCARI. We have worked with him, and with him it was the first time that the bodies were researched so that they could be known. Next. This is me explaining to Joyce, and behind me there's a lot of radiologists, because there's a lot of stuff that is very disruptive, and I was very used to seeing human bodies, to see only tridactyle bodies. It was surprising. And next. Here is what José de Jesús Salce Benítez said, and I agree with him 100% with what he just said. I support him 100% to what he said in what preceded to what he just said. And he is here. This is what we are seeing. These digits, we have not taken them off, or we have not manipulated them. This is how they were, and we are not going to touch them at all. These digits, as you can see them, they do not follow a human pattern. Here I am collaborating with the journalist Joyce to work material to deliver to dozens of television studios in the planet. Next. This is me getting X-rays again to send them to different places from the bodies. Next. Including from what those that you call small, because there's a lot of types of small beings. Here are some medics with information. They contacted me and sent a team of journalists for me to show them the images. And obviously, that's what I did. Next. These are those who presented themselves in Sheraton. And next. This is the first time that the images were shown, and the program that is being used is a common program. It's not an exotic problem that nobody has. It's Radiant. The images are common. It's not strange. Other radiologists manage these images. Some software, some systems are a little bit more sophisticated and can make better renders and deliver better results in 3D, but next one please. Look, in summary, what we call Maria and what the Minister of Culture said, it began the investigation and also the genetical study, and it didn't show that it has segments of Y chromosome, so it's Mario instead of Maria. He's a male. Josefina is part of these small bodies, authentic as well. Next. I'm not going to read this because I have to be quick, but Victoria, we call her Victoria because she doesn't have a head, and it is from her that we got the vertebrae to get the complete sequenciation, and from Victoria we presented the complete sequenciation of the genetic material from a Canadian laboratory. Albert is another pterodactyl, a similar pterodactyl. The following, please. Next one, please. Guaguita was something that we thought that was truthful, but it's not. She's not authentic because we have demonstrated, and obviously in the beginning we didn't see that. We didn't see that, but she has been cut. Like you can see that the fingers were cut and were put together, and it's very small. Obviously not by any of us in the team, but someone in the ancient times did it. It has nothing to do with what we are researching right now. And the DNA sequenciations do not coincide with anything that we know. Luisa is a little one of 60 centimeters. The members of the university have studied the plates of metallic material, and this material is extremely exotic and does not coincide with nothing made in the culture of that time and the region of Peru. Next one, Montserrat. She is the one that Dr. Salce, it's the one he was talking about, that he noticed for the first time that they were pterodactyl, the fetus that they had inside. Like, she was pregnant. We saw the X-ray, the tomography, and we saw something inside. Now, all of this is live, and next one. This is the body, so that you can know it. The fact that she has 3 fingers is authentic. There is no manipulation there. And you will be able to make all the collaborations, because this is why the science exists, to corroborate, to confirm, and to repeat and confirm. Next, Santiago is one that we presented in Sheraton Hotel, and the Culture Ministry and the Ministry of Culture basically came there to basically take us to prison, basically. And you were able to see that live, but we don't really understood what they wanted. But we were presented the images. We were presenting the images of what we had done in Sheraton. McDowell was there as well. He had analyzed Santiago's body, the next one, and Sebastián, who are the 2 bodies as well. We're going to say, next one, please. And today, when I had analyzed those bodies before the tomography, I think this is very authentic. I think this is required, because you cannot know if a tomography is worth it or not. Like, it can be done, manufactured or not, but you have to analyze it first. And that's why I want to say to all of you that I haven't received, nobody has paid me to do any of this. Suyai, we have called them from an insectoid species, not humanoid anymore. We're going to present them in Mexico. It's complex to comment about a being of these. She's very small, but we have also analyzed it in depth. She also has eggs inside, and I presented her in the 2nd Congress in Mexico. I was in charge of, for those who do not know me, in charge of the research in the Tribunal of Corruption in Montesino case for almost 3 years. I was also in charge of the case of when they were investigating Captain Carlos in the case, in that in those times a candidate for presidency. I've also been member of I have a long trajectory, and I've done the conference of the scholarship of the medics of Peru, and they give me these hands, these stones that for them they are valuable according to their beliefs. And next, we're hearing. I want to thank Joyce for what he has done up to now. Next one. And here we are checking one, and behind me you can see there are a lot of, when one takes radiographies, there's a lot of dangerous waves. Here we are in the control zone with the technician, and that was done. Next one, here, because we have to square. This is one of the last bodies. Joyce called me to verify the authenticity of this take, so that the tomography corresponds to the body. And that's what I did with this take. They say I have limited time. I am sorry to have extended my time. Thanks a lot. Now, could I just put this one, this last slide, please? Some of you are confused with the quantity of bodies. At the left, you can see a human body. It's a proportion. In the second one, you can see the proportions of Maria, if we were able to make her to stand up, because the desiccated body is not standing up. Sebastian is the fourth one. Josefina, Victoria, all of them, they are in the fifth one. Guaguita, the one that is like in fetal position, the almost last one, that is not actually, we're not actually furthering investigation with her because we have seen that she's not a pterodactyl being and the DNA does not correspond to those of the other ones. The next ones, they are isolated species that we have seen them in different parts, and they are erratic. They are not whole bodies, and this is a different part of the research. And the other ones that are like insectoids, that they are like insects, like the one that I just presented. That's it. Thanks for the time that my presentation took. Thanks, Doctor David Ruiz Vela. And now we're going to give the word to Antonio Estrada Moreno from the Peru Ministry Culture Archaeological Department, with 25 years of experience in the analysis of animals and human remains, archaeological remains. He has done exploration of archaeological sites, and he is now he's now to the service of Lima, Peru. Welcome. You can now speak. Thanks a lot, Mr. President. Please, can you please turn off the lights, because all of what I have is images. Can you please turn off this image? From a long time ago, since 2017, we have seen a lot of these objects going through the internet and different connections. One of them arrived at a laboratory in Lima where we can analyze. Next image, please. This is the stuff that we have seen in the through time. Skulls, dolls, different parts of the body that have been going through have been going online in different ways. Just as you can see, Dr. Orlando's, we have done different studies where we have done histological studies, which was and the results were interesting because there wasn't any tissue. It was just vegetal tissue, and interestingly, last year, 2 objects of anthropomorphical form were destroyed that were going to delivered to Mexico, that were going to be delivered to Mexico. So they were destroyed and they were going to be sent to Mexico directly, but next image, please. Here represent the doll, the HLO2 that was dressed with female clothes. We can see different kinds of bones, avian bones, and something that is very interesting is that the skull. That skull is the skull of a camelido. Having in mind, it has all this stuff that they have, that they supposedly had. They have the metallic plate in the body that has the purpose to make an impression in the people. We can also see the bones, so that to make these dolls they used bird bones. They were cut. There is a disorder, an absolute disorder, anatomical disorder. Next one, please. This is another doll, the doll 1. Interestingly, this doll was also surprising that merits attention. This one also had eggs in its interior, so they like to put things inside just to confuse the population, and we can also see the same manufacturer, cut bones, a mixture of different things, the metal plates, which is something very common. Eggs that have different shapes, that have a higher density. Those who know about radiology, I assume that the medics that here have used that word before, they should know that an element that is white in a radiological plate is an element of higher density, and that's what we can see here. These are the elements that have been presented since a long time ago. Next, please. This is an X-ray about doll number 2. We can see that inside there's a bone. Next. The comparison, the osteological comparison with animals, revealed that the anatomy is the same of a camel skull. This is very clear in this kind of comparison. This is not an extraterrestrial skull. This is a skull of a being in this world, which could be a llama or an alpaca. Next, so we decided to open this cavity to see these so-called eggs, and they were actually just stones. They had calcium carbonate. These components could be any kind of stone, which was very dense. That's why it was very dense in the X-rays. Next one. We have to ask some questions. Why do we recognize an alien when we see them? Why do we have stuff like this and we say, this is an alien? Why do we think that? Where do we have that image from bipedal aliens with long skulls? That image comes from the TV, from movies, from TV shows of aliens, that they have made us believe that all the aliens have a humanoid form. Why would all the aliens have a humanoid form? I ask you, why would all the aliens have a humanoid form? Why? Next image. This is something that should be thought about. Next one. Next one, please. This is the doll Alberto of University of Ica. It's not. We can see the long skull elongated to the back. that image that we see in movies and TV shows, the elongated skull. Next, this is not the body. This is, from this image, we can see human cut bones. There even is a bone that has a pathology. That would mean that this alien had anemia and had pathology through its life. This leg are manufactured human bones that were cut and put together in a very disorderly way. We can also see, this is the key of all of this. The next one. This is the other one. This is Josefina with the same characteristics of manufacture. This is Josefina. These so-called eggs that they are supposed to have in the interior of the body. In a radiography, in an X-ray, an element that is white is a very dense element, and look at the bones that are surrounding it. What is surrounding it is are real bones. We do not have any doubt about that, but those elements that are inside are much more dense than what are surrounding them. Next one. Here is the queen of the spectacular of the show. This is Maria. Next one. Cut bones in all the parts of the body, asymmetrical. If these would have been living beings, they would have a very grave discapacity. They would be very discapacitated. They would not be able to walk without breaking their bones. Next one. Also, the eggs, the so-called eggs, are there. She died when she was pregnant of these 3 eggs that have different shapes, different. And here we can analyze. I would like you to analyze this with very calmly, especially with McDowell, that for him to analyze this. We have the X-rays. Above we can see Josefina. We also see the one we analyzed in 2017, analyzed by us. We analyzed that. The radiography was done. We have the ones that we destroyed, and the X-rays can tell us that they are the same anatomical characteristics. The magnum, the true magnum hole was constructed in the base to make an appearance that it was an individual that had blood vessels, and that does not exist because it's in the front. Next one. Look at this. Dr. McDowell, look at this. Look at what we are watching there. What do you find here? The first 2 X-rays are from Albert. The other one is from Josefina. The third one is from the one we analyzed in 2017. And the 4th and the 5th are the ones that we destroyed this year. We took X-rays and compared. What do you observe there? Ufology community that is here. Congressmen. Look at what we're watching here. President, please. Distinguished, with respect, please. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. President. We can see here that the elements share the same element, the same anatomical characteristics. They are camel or alpaca or llama skulls. Now, one of the people that formed the group of you, the biologist José de la Cruz Rio López, member as well of the group of Mr. Maussan, a friend of Dr. Salce and other personalities, presented a scientific article. And what does he conclude in base of a study of tomographies? What does he conclude? That the head of Josefina is the head of a llama. José de la Cruz López got out of the bag, and that's why he's not here anymore. So José de la Cruz Rio López concludes that the skull of Josefina is the skull of a llama or an alpaca. Next, please. Now let's talk about Maria, of her skull and her feet. First, next one, please. This is the poor Maria, a human mummy that was mutilated from hands and feet to give this tridactyl appearance, this modification of the skull. This is an intentional modification of the skull that form part of their skull. That's not how she was born. This is how it was given a new shape. Next one. How strange that this hybrid have teeth with decay in the teeth. How strange. I could show you where the teeth are. This is a very evident human teeth. They do this 2,000 years ago, but you can see the pathologies, just like with the tomographies, radiographies have revealed. Next. These are the tomographies that have been going around. Here we have the key to understand also the tridactyly, the three fingers of Maria. This is a hand that we also analyzed this year. We found how they do this. They use cotton in the so-called joints. They put this this glue like uhu, which gives a hardening, very interesting hardening. This is how they could maybe have manufactured these mummies. The next one is, there she is, next one. Doesn't exist any kind of, the bone is intact like the one of any human being. Next one. The interesting thing here, and I am sorry that the medics that they do not know human anatomy, the medics that analyze this, because what you are seeing here are the feet, the mutilated feet of a human, of what they have, from whom they had taken away some bones from the feet, but worst of all, in these feet of Maria, they put together some bones of the hand, of a human hand. And if you do not know anatomy, then you should be very careful. This should be the first mummy that you see for somebody like us that we have seen mummies for decades. This mummy is an archaeological mummy from human procedence, human origin. Observe the distance between the bones of the feet. This is not normal. Please. I really, the president is speaking right now. Please, I ask of you to do not engage personally with any of the participants, only through president. This is a very controverted and true topic. So the exposition that each part are doing, and I ask of you to do all of this in this way. I'm already doing the wrapping up this exposition. The deformation in the skull of ancient population of Peru is it was a very practiced thing back then. If you do not know this, you can see them there. They are not from other planet. They are human skulls, elongated skulls that were deformed. These newborn, you can see them. This is archaeological material. Their skulls are being deformed. And we do not have any signal anymore. Here we go again. This is Phineas Barnum. He is the creator of in a circus where he presented strange things, people with anomalies, but he also presented something that was called the Mermaid of Sigi, that was manufactured with the front part of a primate and the anterior part of a fish. But this is what they did with all based in lies. His phrase was, "Each day a fool is born." Pseudoscience is dangerous. Pseudoscience offends. Pseudoscience, Mr. President, is a danger for our society, Mr. President, especially in medicine. This pseudoscience is combined with farandula, with public scandal like magic. It doesn't have any scientific basis. Pseudoscience, in this case, is trying to tell us another story, that the cultures of the past were not be able to make these mummies, and they needed the presence of another planet so that they could make it. This is the damage that pseudoscience makes. In another part, we have the scientists, Dr. Elsa Tomasto, that they have already mentioned them. One of the few bioarchaeologists that live in Peru, Dr. Bombardi, Dr. Salas, Dr. Islas. And in the other one, we have the slides that we have seen, and we don't have seen anymore. A member of this team, including biologist, no signal again. This is something that they repeat once and once again, and no signal again. Again, pseudoscience is scandal, no signal again. We still have no signal. We will continue shortly. Okay, we're back. What catches my attention is that they are still presenting the dolls that they destroyed. They are dolls, they are actual dolls, and we all know that. What surprises me is that they even insult Dr. Salce, Dr. David Reels, that have decades of experience. No, because you haven't seen an X-ray, you do not know human anatomy, please. That's his role. His role is to cause confusion in the public opinion, and that's what they are here to do. Oh, they are talking about what they did in the first things that they were doing, because they got some dolls, and they are dolls, and we denounced that from the beginning. All of you who have followed all of this research, you know perfectly that we have denounced that the dolls actually do exist. The little ones that the sir was talking about, they were found where their real bodies were found. We do not know as like ornaments or offerings, and we always knew that they were dolls, and we have commented that, and we have told that. We have recognized the existence of these little dolls, but there are also the ones that are organic that defy explanation, like the feet of Maria. The experts of ICA, they did a very deep analysis, and they concluded that there was not a single mutilation, because when you do that, when you cut a finger, for example, they take out the thumb and the pinky, then some sort of stare remains, because if you also, like for example, if you cut it the whole hand with part of the hand, then you can see that deformation. Well, we continue now. The bodies that the Culture of Ministry have analyzed, that they have nothing to do with the discovery that we have had, that they are dolls effectively because they had dolls. They never determined their origin. They don't come from the same place. But, yes, please. Doesn't have anything to do with this discovery. They were dolls that were there. We have found eight bodies, humanoid pterodactyl bodies, of which DNA analysis have been done, and the DNA is considered the queen of all proof. And well, we are going to listen to radiologist Enrique Carlos Calla, who was commissioned by the Commission of Culture from the hospital, Augusto Hernandez Mendoza, with whom I had the chance to talk to yesterday, that after making the research of the bodies of Maria and Guaguita, especially Maria, this is what he told me about the body of Maria. We have to see signs that if you say that they are amputated, that maybe they were fractured, the bones, or something like that. There is no any sign of that, but that there is that there are some bones missing. We have seen that. Now, this merits a parentage that does not correspond to us to pronounce. We're just doing the radiologic study of what we're seeing and what we have been able to do with the software that has been described. So the technological part helps us have a judgment, but there's been rich research of what happened with a number of bones, because we have the normal variant of a human body that could not be possible in a human body. But so you do not see any signs of it to be cut. We cannot severe that. There is no sign of it to have been fractured, for example. We could not see any sign of that. If it had, how would it see? If there was any kind of fracture, we would be able to see it. There would be a signal of fracture. But we do not see any fracture, but we do see that there's an accumulation that is not in the bones of the fingers of a foot. The other extremities, they only show 3 fingers, almost in the same manner as Maria and Guaguita. So they are natural, to say in some way. It does not correspond to me to say that, but and what kind of research is necessary to go further in this case? So I repeat, I am just a general radiologist. We have done this. We have done what you have asked of us, but we do not have a lot of radiologists, and we do not have a parentage that could be done by a specialist in that manner, in this kind of topics, right? Thanks a lot to both of you. I thank your participation. Thanks. Well, as you can see, they did not find any sign of the bodies to be altered, like the Ministry of Culture says. They are legitimate bodies. What the congressman should do is that these bodies, they should be given to the best international institutes, and so that they can do there the determination of the validity of this discovery, because this is the biggest treasure that Peru has done, and it belongs to the inhabitants of Nascar and Palpa. The possibility to create a center of research specialized to analyze these bodies and further the research apart from the cold lines of Nascar, that they have been found one of the most important discoveries of history, so that people that have limited knowledge and that have a different perspective can try to neutralize or delete any kind of bias. McDowell was the president of the Academy of Forensic Sciences. We have no signal. Here we go again. Of the United States. He just received the prize, which is the biggest prize that he could receive in the area. And if he considers that this discovery should be analyzed and investigated further in the best institutes of the world, that's what we ask of the government of Peru, that they allow that these bodies travel to these institutions to then return to Peru to an investigation center. Are you going to throw this away to the garbage, friends, Peruvian friends, to not allow this to be considered one of the motherly societies of the world? Do you realize what you have in your hands? I can show 8 images of the beings that were presented up to today. Tell me if they were mummified or modified, why and how. I am not here to make money or to make me famous or anything. I am not a ufologist. They called me a ufologist. I am not. I am a journalist. I have a 55 years of journalism. I have received the best prizes in journalism, and I've been recognized by journalists of the whole world. I am not a ufologist, and you're not going to reduce like that my investigations. My investigations are considered very important in Mexico. I have a program from 30 years ago related to different topics, and a lot of them journalism. So I declare I am not a ufologist, I am a journalist, and the only thing that I want is the truth. The truth that belongs also to our friends in Peru. It's not possible for us to leave this, that we are debating this in the Congress. This should be given to the best institutions. Why is it not allowed for the best scientists in the world to determine if this is true or not? This looks like a debate, one and another. No, let's end this. Make the third ones the best people in the world, the most qualified people in the world to determine this, not any of us who are sat here. Are we going to let that opportunity go? Is Peru going to let that opportunity go? Because this is extraordinary for the inhabitants of Palpa and Nascar to have a research center that makes people come to them. It is very important to consider everything that is happening here. It is the time to do this, and I hope that you do not throw this to the garbage, and that it really transforms into one of the most important discoveries for the humanity, one of the biggest treasures that have been found in Peru. Let's stop from this kind of debates and from persons that are limited, that have limited capabilities, and let's have this to the most. They do not know what they're saying. They are wrong, and they cannot accept that they're wrong. They are accepting don'ts for them to be presented, risking their own prestige. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Maussan. We have lost signal. We will be back soon. We are back. To the jury, by the way. And if the signal is gone again, please bear with us. We'll be back in a moment. obviously, with calmly, that's what we want here in the Commission of Culture and in the Congress. We lost the signal again. We will be back soon. Of the Republic. We're going to continue. Announce with your name and what institution you belong to. You have the word. Thanks, Mr. Congressman. Thanks. It's the first time that I'm here in a hearing audience. I am Mario Segada Torres, a journalist of the OVNI phenomena, and I want to speak more like a citizen. I do not want to speak like a researcher. I want to speak like a citizen that pays taxes, and I want to speak. In these 7 years, I've had a locution in NASCAR, and I think that I'm going to summarize it. As a citizen, I am disappointed very deeply by the actions of the Ministry of Culture. There is legal anomalies, there is administrative anomalies, there is there are incomplete documents without sign. There is no authorization of the former administratives. There is no signs of the important people that should be there, of every government, of these people. I think that the best thing that we could do is the information transparency law that was made in 1906, that any citizen of Peru can ask. We lost audio of legal applications. These salaries that their salary that comes with transparency, and I am not saying honesty here. And I think that one of the things that we have to do is that from now on, we have to go to the other side of the river and battle for the truth, for the infinite truth. These legal issues has already been done in the past, and I'm going to say it. The government of Velasco prejudiced the case of the stones of Ica, and they jailed that person, and this can be updated. And if you sign here, then you will be able to say that the stones were fake. And the same thing happened with, for example, worries by an astronomer that destroyed part of the lines of Nazca. They were destroyed. More of 30 were destroyed. Where was the Minister of Culture there? Nobody said nothing. What happened there? And that is why that the citizens of Peru, we need to gather and make groups of control and fiscalization to the function of the functionaries of the Minister of Culture. What does the Minister of Culture say right now? It would be important to know. It would be important to know that the President, Dina Boluarte, gives an opinion about this. I think that this is important enough, and it shouldn't be possible for someone as important as her to not give an opinion, and she has to do it because she is a public. She's a public figure. And in another hand, the ufology is not a pseudoscience. The Congress of 2019, we have spoken to the to people of the Pentagon that have filmed objects of 15 meters, and this is a truth. So I say that we should battle for the truth. Thanks. Effectively, the objective of this reunion is to battle against ignorance. The best way to say is to do, and that's what we know. Consequence, I now give the word to Hernandez from the University of Ica. Good. Now, with everything, I greet everyone here. I think this debate is being held that should be done. This should be analyzed at this level. I am Edgar Hernandez, who has been in charge of the research of the body Maria. I am an anatomist of more than 30 years. I know anatomy. I once listened to an anthropologist of a worldwide thing, and she said that we speak about a lot of bones and we do not really know about bones. That's what she said, and this is the research that we have been doing. I have published scientific articles, scientific papers, and you should know. Please, please. I will have to suspend your hearing, to suspend the hearing. If you do not, I ask for forgiveness. I am sorry, friend. I am sorry.
I will have to suspend this hearing, or to close this hearing, if you cannot respect each other. I have the slides, if you can please give them, please. I am speaking. Maria, we have researched her at a general level. This is controversial. You could say that. I am sorry.
They are anomalies, mutilations, as you can say, but you cannot say the same discoveries to a single person, and they can be elongated. And we know that the elongation was practiced, but it cannot happen that when you distort a skull, you cannot change the volume of the skull. And we have demonstrated that this is almost 30% bigger than normal human skulls, and you cannot do that. The volume cannot be because bigger volume means bigger brain tissue. I do not have time, so I'm going to go forward. Next one, please. These are the articles that have been published. They are on the internet. You can see them in the internet, published this year. The next one, please. The next one. In the skull here, the proportion of volume between the skull and the face should be 1:1. In this one, we have seen all the meditions. We have done skull points, which is technical science with scientific fundamentals. In the next one, with these meditions, we have seen that there is a volume 30% higher. This is a proportion 1:3:1, which is not normal for a human. This is a considerable more mass for a human skull. This has been used in science, and this angle has been heightened, and has 108. So it's not even a bit. It's a protrusion that is very, very noticeable, which is very severe. And this is the other case, the next one, which happens the same with the jaw. The jaw is very up to the front, this is very important. Look at the degrees. This is like 80 degrees. It's very important. This is the view that we can have from a 3D reconstruction of this. These two entities is very strange, right? We have the skull, we have the eye globes that are bigger than they should be. The next one, this is an ocular protrusion in the spine. It also has wounds, but she is missing a vertebrae. well, I'm going to finish with my participation that in the arm, she has an exaggeration in the separation between the two bones of the arm that is more similar to a gorilla than to a human, because the gorilla have the separation between these two bones. And it is similar to the gorilla anatomically speaking. And it has human characteristics, but also hominid characteristics. I don't have any more time to say all the other stuff that I should be saying, but thanks a lot for your time. We lost connection. We'll be back as soon as we get signal. Go ahead, please. You have the word. Identify yourself and the institution you represent. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I am biologist Ricardo Rangel. I have more than 27 years of experience in immunogenetics and histocompatibility and regenerative medicine. I have done the interpretation of the results of the sequenciation, the genetic sequenciation of these organisms, and I want to comment that inside the criteria, the scientific criteria for the identification of organisms, the DNA tests are the motherly tests. They are the biggest ones, and they are included. That's why they are included in criminological debates to even make sentences for people that are involved in crimes. So very important research has been developed in the sequenciation in a laboratory from Canada, which has thrown millions of lecture sequences from the small beings like Maria, the being that is put into question a lot, put into doubt, that they say that is something manufactured, which from my point of view is something completely mistaken. I think that you should do a more deep analysis, but what we have found in Maria is that she has aspects related to the genetics of primates, from Panthroglodytes and Paniscus, which are well, we come directly from the hominid line 7 million years ago, and we have been studying all of these descendants which are questioning all of this. But I want to comment you that this genetics information that is in Maria is modern information from approximately at least 1.5 million years ago, when the evolution is branching away, when we are branching away from chimpanzees. And how is that in an African genome is present in a sample in America this much time ago, and also has some ascendants from China? How is a mummy that is in America has this kind of ascendants and genetic information? And we also found that there is an infection from Maria, in part from a bacteria that is only found in the tsetse fly in Africa. How can a pathogen that is exclusive from the central zone of Africa in an organism that is found in South America? I think that from that point of view, we have to give the benefit of the doubt. Giving the benefit of the doubt to all those present here, we have to put more research here to understand what is happening here. It is very important to understand that this organism, we need to make more research regarding the genetics of these organisms, and it is worth it, very importantly. Thanks a lot, distinguished friend. I think that your words are spoken correctly. And now the final words for the congressman, to Mr. Joyce Mantilla. Thanks, President. You have 3 minutes. Perfect. President, congressmen, and all the assistants, when I was involved in this case, I did it with doubts, because I saw that these bodies were very strange. These doubts and the skepticism that we have as journalists make us go in the search of answers after the first analysis that were made in ICARI with the forensics that came from Mexico and the United States. We lost signal. We'll come back as soon as we get our signal back. In Russia, we found that this was a truly wonderful discovery that we could, and I could see a lot of bodies that were not human. And I give all the reason to the people of the public minister, because what they have done is to study dolls. There's a big difference. They do not know the bodies that are actually organic. We have lost audio. We will resume with the interpretation and translation as soon as the audio comes back. Please sit tight. We'll come back in a moment. Please be patient. We'll come back whenever the audio signal comes back to us. Here we are. Unfortunately, we lost the audio in the presentation of Joyce Mantilla. Yes, that's right. And well, finally, it is very important to mention that in some hours, a little later, through the social media of Jaime Maussan, you will be able to find the complete version and, of course, the analysis surrounding this hearing that, of course, once more, this is coming to the light as well. The Minister of Culture is still in this squared manner and very closed off to possibilities. And Joyce Mantilla said something very important. The teachers, the scientists, experts of the Ministry of Culture have been taken basis only in the dolls that they have researched, which we all know have dolls, which I think, and they say that this is the proof that everything else is not truth, and that itself is not true. And they said that Maria had been amputated, which is just it's just a lie. How can somebody that has decades of experience, that has advocated himself to fix hands that have been injured, that he could not notice that the hands were amputated? That's just unacceptable. Just with the purpose of disqualify, and the chemical composition of these beings and these metal plates, we know that they are alloys that are amazing and that do not correspond to the time, and these guys didn't do these tests. And it is in the Instituto Politécnico Nacional where they could see where what metals were these. And osmium is a very rare material. They did not know that in that time. I want to ask you a question, Ruben. Would they have have they budgeted anything? Have they spent any money in this research? Because it's very easy. Have you seen them invest in this sort of tests? We are seeing now one of the new bodies. This is a new body. It has not been presented before. And this is an even bigger finding than you think. It is tridactyle in hands and feet. It's like Maria. This is a being that is very strange, because the jaw is not as protruding as with Maria, but we are seeing, you can see the nails, and you can see even hair. We're seeing beings that were created, so there could be variations from one to another. And with the question, have you seen that the Ministry of Culture has invested any kind of money, any important sum of money, like Canada did with the DNA sequencing, that's costly. And why would you do that for dolls? It has no sense. It makes no sense. We have to take this to the USA. Um, we have taken this to USA universities. Wouldn't they notice if this were fake? Of course they would. And well, they just don't want to accept this. Why would they not want to? They laugh. They are laughing. They are making fun of us, and they even said these are images that are going around the internet. He did nothing of the research. How much time and money have they invested? What they have really done? I think it's really wrong of them. I don't. I'm not debating their education or anything of that, but this is not the methodology that they should follow. Now, why wouldn't they analyze the other ones? McDowell analyzed in depth Maria, and he is he's very surprised by Maria, and he would have noticed if that was a doll. And he would have gotten off the boat as soon as he noticed, and he could have even filed a lawsuit, and he didn't. He wanted to study this further because he found that this is bigger than we are thinking. Yes, and we see that in this squared form of thinking, we see that the Minister of Culture are still in the argument, and there is no disposition. But what really matters is, or I think, is what determines the congressman. The Minister of Culture is something apart. I still have the hope. Oh, they're speaking again. We have audio again. And to get to clear results. It's important to differentiate the bodies that have been presented here, because we recognize that there exists manufactured dolls, but not all of them are like that. It's a bad purpose to show the bodies that are not the best ones. These are a disservice to the people of Peru and to the ethical purposes. It, it's the purpose of the Ministry of Culture to protect the objects, the bodies that belong to the national patrimony. In our brief study, we have not got to conclusions, but we would like to work with Peruvian scientists and international scientists. We know that these bodies are special and unique. We should start with genetic tests and carbon-14 to get to the results. Thank you for the time. Thank you. I congratulate you for your intervention. Now, we're going to give the word to Congressman Victor Flores so that he can give some commentary. Thanks a lot, Mr. President. I am here. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. I am here because I have also felt the curiosity. 2 years ago, I was in Ica. And in Ica, I didn't find. I just saw what I'm going to comment now. And it results that pseudoscience actually exists, and I do not say that, but pseudoscience exists. And in Peru and in Mexico that we have Latin roots, Spanish, and very proudly of it, practically, we don't have the same pseudoscience. On the other hand, I've heard that there are dozens of these beings. Well, I have counted, I think, at least 12 or 10, but dozens is to talk about more of 30 or 40 or 50, I don't know. In another hand, there are journalists and journalists, so that we cannot lie about. There are journalists that have fabricated interests and journalists that do not. And I think that is very clear here. Humanoid. Who told you that these were extraterrestrial or stuff? They just said that they were humanoid. Human appearance. This is because of the gravity of the planet. Therefore, I'm not going to explain this right now because I would need a lot of time. When someone speaks of this, they apparently have the truth. But we have to make judgment of it, not because they speak with technicalities, they have the truth. I have seen some X-rays where there are parts very dense, very white, of course. And I don't think that the eggs are denser than the bones. I put that just to have some criteria as well to the Mr. So that you can have more arguments. There's bone asymmetry. I think that's very relevant. The bones should have continuity, beginning and end. They cannot be cut or asymmetrical by any means. Another thing, they speak of DNA. If they are extraterrestrial beings, would they respond to human parameters of human DNA? Maybe they don't even have genes or any other configuration. So these beings, it is possible that we have to check them again. In another hand, Mr. President, Cro-Magnon man was 40,000 years old. He's already a humanoid, and it's already a human being. Mummified. We do not know. I do not know. But for that, we have carbon-14. And of those bodies, well, with more criteria if they are armed or not. I want to finish, Mr. President, with a little reflection. The color of the findings, if we find I have seen two photos. A photo of a mummy and another one, and those that are supposedly mummified. That one is orange white, and another one is natural mummified color. So we also have to have some criteria here. If we see the um, mummy of Tutankhamun, what I have asked, would they have been white? I do not think so. In another hand, Mr. President, and I think with this I want to finish off. There are bones of birds. To know if they are birds, then we just need to use the technology we have that is very clear. And finally, camel skulls. Of course, we can compare them. I am not here to debate anything, just to make use of common sense. And the common sense tells me that necessarily I have to stop using the technical speech for the ufology or pseudoscience, like they mentioned, just to apply the common sense and real science. And the fact that it had been published in a scientific magazine, it does not give us the fact that there has been research behind that. And we have just had in the country, for those who do not know, a scandal of a farm of scientists, if you did not know. And finally, Mr. President, to have this remains to the foreign, I would not be opposed to that, but I do oppose to take it to the foreign, something that we can analyze ourselves, and to make the foreign to make themselves a livestock. Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Congressman. Distinguished friends, we're going to receive finally the words of Congressman Germán Tacuri.
Gracias, señor presidente. Como siempre, dentro del respeto.
Thanks, Mr. President. As always, within respect, the exchange of points of view, I think that this public hearing in the Commission of Culture has committed its objective. The objective is to hear, to listen, the man of science, the different opinions, divergent, convergent, but finally important. The Congress, different points of view, with criteria. Distances have been marked, positions have been marked, and I think that because of that, this is a success. I want to congratulate our visitors here, national and international, that were able to make the efforts to make this hearing a reality about this topic. And that finally make us see that there is a will to unify experiences, professionalism of different sectors, and that we can have this space to continue with the research. If at the end this research leads to they are not, or that they are, the science is going to tell. And secondly, is that we also have to see it like the archaeologist said, to have a touristic isle, we need to put a lot of requisites that it has to make one of those. That fundamentally is one of the objectives that we have. We have. I want to thank everyone for this predisposition to dialogue. When some time ago we lost the signal, we will be back soon. Please sit tight. We will continue as soon as we get the signal back. Please be patient. We'll continue shortly. We are still waiting for the signal. We will continue as soon as we receive it. We're back. Well, here we are in what looks like the final mile in this hearing of Peru. And well, very very disappointing with what is happening with this country. Well, the opposition that exists within the government itself, but we're back to the Congress. This is a question about, it's been open about it. From one on another part, they believe to have the truth. And they surely have it because one, they have done research, some a little bit subjective, but there is certainly a question and a worry. And this worry is important, and this worry is of every single part of the community of Peru, Ica, NASCAR, and the world. And in consequence, this is an important topic. So we are not going to leave it like this. I want to value the expositions of our attendees here. The participation of John McDowell, and also from the lawyer, who have done a very important reference, is to make a collaborative research with the Peruvian scientists. This research signifies to make all the efforts to precisely to have the case to enable new discoveries if it's necessary and to believe in the science. And that's why we should make a scientific research. With these Peruvian scientists, with the approval of Peruvian institutions and other institutions like COPESCO or other. So I feel very satisfied. I don't know a lot of the topic, but I do have an inclination, and I'm not going to tell you, but what we really need is to conclude, hopefully with collaborative research. It's been a little tense in some spaces, and it's understandable because there is passion in the topic. But be calm. We lost the signal. We'll be back shortly. thank you for your patience. We will be continuing as soon as we get the signal. We'll be back with the table again. We are back here in the final mile, and I think that to conclude, to make some conclusions, some preliminary conclusions, we can say that that was the objective of the hearing, to make a calling to collaboration. That is true, it's very important, because when you have an idea, a biased idea, it's very difficult to get to the truth. And it is important to get together and to get to the bottom of this. And results have been given, and it's not from a single person, it's from a multidisciplinary group. And if they haven't wanted to get into those studies, to check them, to speak with the parts, it's because there's some sort of bias here, because they believe that nothing that anybody says is going to convince me otherwise. And we say, well, what are they? That limits us a lot. And I believe that the Ministry of Culture is very limited in that sense. And in Peru, one thing in Peru, there isn't a single laboratory that has the DNA sequences, and that's why it had to be sent to Canada. And they don't have the tools to be able to tell this is like this. Now, you know a lot of the research, and what does that mean? Because I don't think that the Ministry of Culture knows that. Well, really, what someone checks it and it goes to a platform to be critiqued. So the only thing they do is, this is, and okay, let's check it. You check it, and then you can find. So this is a finding of a high scientific level. You publish it. It has to be checked by other specialists of your same level or more that qualified this discovery. Very limited the mentality of this deputy, Seferino Flores, because they say, not because you speak with technicalities, you are a scientist. And I think that applies in both ways. That is a boomerang comment, because effectively the Ministry of Culture apparently is not going to move their argument. And this is a calling specifically for our friends in Peru. I liked a lot the intervention of this person that says, I am a Peru citizen, and there's a lot of anomalies that we also have to check. We have the right as Peruvians for this to be done correctly. They need to ask for it, a revision of the case, not just to depend on the Ministry of Culture. The people of Peru have the right to ask the government clarity in all of this. For a moment, consider, if this is real, what it means for you in Peru. Really, this is something that was found in Peru, and that depends of the Peruvians. So let's suppose that they study it in the foreign, but it should be allowed officially and legally. That's why John McDowell asks for it, so that it can be done correctly. If it is demonstrated without a doubt that this is authentic, what does that mean for Peru? This is a mine of gold, really, specifically for the historical question, because we're talking about the encounter of something very important. These beings that were somehow a product of someone or something that we do not know where it is or where it comes from. Nobody has said they are extraterrestrials, but what are they? How are they formed? That was an attack from the part of the Ministry of Culture. The researchers, the doctors that analyzed this never said that they were aliens. So those were just suppositions. That was nothing based on science. The science was to study the bones, that everything, the anatomy. They talked about aliens, but this is a real body that is subject to study, to research of any person, and in an objective way. You do not have to suppose anything. You do not have to guess anything. Well, now we're concluding. I can say that something that really exasperates me is that until even the skepticals that do not accept that these are real bodies, organic bodies that had life, even they should push this for it to have more research, so that if it is false, it can be proven false. I don't know why they are opposed to it. They are the ones who should push for even more research. Imagine if you put it to Harvard or any other university, they should be able to discover the truth with cutting-edge equipment. The scientists with the most experience, they should be able to discover the truth, to enable the research. That's what should happen. And in conclusion, we are really seeing the ignorance again, that the ignorance does not allows the advancement, but we are actually going forward in a very steady pace. The analysis, the interest from the part of a lot of scientists and experts that have found that this is beyond what people think. And I think that the results are going to be incredible and fascinating, and I really thank Mr. Jaime Maussan, because with a lot of passion, he defends the truth. And as a team, we are, of course, with him and with all the experts that are analyzing and giving a voice to this case. We are here all like a team. Thanks. And I think that we should get to the bottom of this. I make an invitation to our Peruvian friends and the whole world that have the curiosity, that want to know, to help us and to push this so that we can get to the truth. If it's not true, then we will be able to see that this is not true. But these other people want to just close the file on this, and no, we have to get to the bottom of this. So, friends, it depends a lot on you who are watching us in Peru. You should make pressure. You should make pressure on your government to allow and enable research. That's right. So when we talk about a touristic site in NASCAR to create a research center surrounding these bodies, so that there can be a benefit to the population and the prestige of Peru. It happened with Egypt, that in a large part its economy is based off in tourism, based on the millenary culture that you can find there. And if you can confirm that they are real, that we are sure that they are, this should be enabling for the whole world. But now we are now we should conclude all of this rapidly. You say these bodies were hidden in some caves and were covered with diatoms that protects them. Most likely, whoever made that was thinking of the future. It's probably like some sort of time machine, some time capsule that is buried in the ground. And this is the future that they were expecting. So we'll see what happens. So the last word has not been said. And remember that in some hours here in Maussan TV, in all our social media, you can find the whole version, the analyses, the articles surrounding this historical hearing. I am Villatoro, Carlos Clemente, and Guillermo Lopez, and all the team of production led by Antonio Hernandez. We wish you a very good weekend. Until the next time.